Imagine building your own ATM with code. Sounds impossible? Not anymore. Follow Boston and Pundu on YouTube to see his working Zanico ATM in C++, full C++ series from part 1 to the final build. Subscribe now, leave a comment, and start building your knowledge today. Sponsored by One Lore and RubeTech.
Hello, distinguished students. Welcome back to Empowering Knowledge in Computer Science. I'm your perfect tutor, Mr. Mpund Boston. In our last video, we explored predefined data types. Today, in part 7, we'll move on to an exciting topic called control structure in C++. These are the built blocks that help us to control the flow of program. Stay tuned and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing lessons like this. Welcome back. So today we are going to look at control structures in C++. What are these? These determine the flow of execution of statements in a program. Remember, control structures in C++ are divided into two main categories. Number one is called basic control. Second is called functions. Functions which contains things like built-in, which considered to be a library function, up to lambda functions. Mainly the discussion for today will look at basic control. And in the next episode, we'll continue with functions. So let's begin with basic control. Under basic control, we have sequential structure, selection, and looping. So now let's continue looking one by one. So sequential structure is instructions are executed one after another in order. So here, one point you have to remember is that take a look over this an example of C++ program where we said we are intended to add two numbers. We say A and B. Then we say A plus B. So the sum of A plus B. So you notice that this program is following what? A linear, which starts from what? From the top to the bottom. That is the only difference that you can take. Second, let's look at selection. Selection has types. It has a statement like if statement, if else statement, switch statement, if else, if ladder, as well as nested if. So now let's look at example. So we are still looking at under selection. So we talked about if else. Now, how do we implement if else in our program? Or how do we use if else in our program? Imagine we want to take an input from the user. And this input that we want to take is, we want to take their age. So we'll say age, then say how to enter your age. Now, one thing that you need to notice is that how do we use if? This is what we are discussing here. We are discussing how do we use if under control structure, okay, and other what? Statements under control structure in C++. So please note. So notice that here, if we have put if, then from if statement, when you put if statement, you need to start with what? The parentheses. This thing that you have seen open and close up to 18 here, it is called parentheses. Then, now this after you put now the data here is called now a condition what? Line. This is a condition. After this, you need to put a braces to each and every statement. So braces begin from here up to here. Since you know that when you use if statement, it has to follow what else. Imagine you have I'll give in this context. Imagine you have about 20 people. You want to ask their age, and the condition that you are using is a selection under what if statement. So you need to begin to start with if. Then from 18 up to 20, they will bear what else until it terminates. Is that okay? So if statement is called a close and open statement of braces for each what? statement. If at all, then let's proceed. Let's now look at the opposite of if. The opposite of if in the context that I am referring to is switch. Okay. When you are using switch bears, it has a parenthesis, then followed by a braces. The same way the if statement starts. Then after braces, it only if statement it has only one what? Braces. Let's look at this. So let me make an emphasis. You remember I talked about if statement. I want you to understand so that you don't make a mistake. Okay. So when you are using if statement, I make an emphasis. When you are using if statement, let's say, I'll give an example. Let's say you want to store data for the name of people. Let's say you have Pundu, start with M, and also you have Peter, start with what? P. So meaning, if a statement I said it is the open and close, meaning for Peter it will open and close, and then also for the Pundu it will open and close. But when you are using switch, it will store both M, which is in Pundu, and also what for the data for P. Under what? Under one loop, or under what? One braces. This is the difference. Okay. So this is what is happening here. So now you need to take note that when you are using switch, okay, after putting parentheses, which is considered as a condition, then followed by braces, it has to bear with it, or it has to bear case and break. Meaning, for each statement to start, has to start with a case. As you can see, case 1, case 2, case 3, case 3. And at the end of each statement, when you are done, you need to put what? A break. Is that okay? This is how we do it. So in this context, the program wanted to calculate the 3 days from Monday up to Tuesday. And default here included also what? Default. Meaning that if the users intended maybe to exceed from 3 days, maybe started including it will display what? Invalid day. Is that okay? Let's now look at selection. Under selection, we have condition called nested if statement. Nested if statement is a statement placed inside another if statement. Now, what is the purpose of putting a statement in another if statement? Is to check a second condition only if the first condition is true. For instance, in life, we have those conditions which may consider to be what? A prediction. Under what? Probabilities. Is it going to rain or not? If at all, wear a jacket or put on. If at all, then let's proceed. Now, let's look at loop. So looping under what? Basic control structure. Okay. Now, what is looping? It means repeat a set of instructions multiple times. So get to know these things as we proceed with an example. So under looping, we have conditions called for, while, and do while loop. Now, what are for loop? Or how do we use for loop? For loop is used if you know how many times to repeat. Is that okay? You have the condition as a program. You have been given a condition that you need to start from this time up to this period, or from this number up to this number. It means you know the loop times. So if you know the number of times to repeat, then you use it for loop. But if you don't know the number to repeat, then you use the while loop. Then last but not the least, do while loop. How do we use do while loop? Or when do we use do while loop? If you need the code to run at least once, is that okay? Now I want to make an emphasis here between while loop and do while loop. While loop, check condition first. If it is true, then it's run the code. Wow, do while loop, run the code at least once before checking the conditions. So this is the condition we are talking about. If at all, then let's proceed. Let's now look at for loop. we start now looking at each loop one by one. Is that okay? So we have a question here telling us print hello world 5 times. Remember, we talked about your loop. And which loop can we use in this question? The loop that you can use is the code for loop. The reason is simple, because for loop states that you can only use for loop when you know the number of times to repeat. And the question here is say print hello world 5 times. So you know the number that hello world has to repeat. Is that okay? Okay, then let's proceed. Now, first let's print hello world 5 times without using a loop. So we'll continue doing this, writing hello world 5 times without using what? A loop. We observe. So we write hello world 1. So as you see, you will notice that we have written hello world 5 times. Okay, so suppose if you wanted to write 100 times, we could have copied each line and paste each line 100 times, which is, it is boring, okay, time wasting and hard to manage. So now, this is the reason why we are looking at, we need to use it for loop, because you don't have to learn a very long code, which is talking about just a simple thing. So now let's use now for loop. We see the advantage of using a loop in our program. So I will write this like this so that then I will explain. So we discussed that we'll start from, we'll use for loop. Okay, then it has to repeat it 5 times. Now I started the program like this. So here you will find out that just by using for loop with just a few lines, I have printed hello world 5 times. I want you now to look at this here. So we get for loop here, we put it here. Okay, then we say this open and close. I mentioned that this is parentheses. Then after parentheses, it follows what? Braces. Okay, now let's see. The data that we store in parentheses are called condition. What? This is the condition here. This is where we put the condition. Next, then we go back even to the question now. This question is how many lines do we have to print? It's saying 5. Is that okay? 5 lines. So 5 is the whole number. So what data type are we going to use? We are going to use int. Then we'll say I is equal to 1. So what is I is equal to 1? I is equal to 1. It means that this is where the program has to start, from 1 up to 5. Now remember, this I is just a letter. If you want, you can put B, C, or Z. Is that okay? But in my case, I have put I. So the rule of int, you say we declare a variable to if we want to use a number, we need to use initials of what? I is equal to 1 or B is equal to B is equal to 1, or any number that you want, but start with a variable. So I is equal to 1. Then I hope you have understand this. So this is where the program is starting. Next, let's look at this line now here. This line. Okay? So you know that where there is I, it is 1. So we are saying that 1 is less than or equal to 5, meaning the statement is starting from 1 up to 5. As long as 1, which is here, as long as I is what is less than or equal to 5. Is that okay? So other part now that I want to mention is that let's look at this line now, starting from I, then up to here. So this part is called post increment. Post increment, meaning, for it, I'll give an example. If they told you that I want you to take 5 steps, okay, 5 steps. So when you take 1 step, it's considered as 1. Then when you do another one, it is 2. So the number will keep on adding itself until it reaches 5. Now, when you are using computer, the computer don't understand what you want to do unless you put the instruction or condition to perform that specific instruction. So this condition, that's why we have put this condition of post increment, telling the computer that when you count this 1, when you count this 1 here, when you count 1, you need to add another 1 to make it what? To make it 2, okay? Because the computer, when it just like here, when you just put it like this, it will just display the information without what? Increasing it. So when you put here, it means that you are telling the computer or your program that when you start the program, when the program starts at 1, it has to keep adding itself until it reaches what? 5, or until it reaches only false statement, then it terminates. That is how post increment works. Is that okay? So remember now these operators. Okay, we look at unary operators where I mentioned to say that if at all you need to check another series where we discussed about pre-increment, pre-decrement, post-increment, and post-decrement. Is that okay? So you get to understand this. There you will notice that the post-increment increases the value after using it. Then pre-increment increases the value before increasing it. Is that okay? Then post-decrement decreases the value after using it. Then pre-decrement decreases the value before using it. This is how this works. So you need to understand, you need to know what is post-increment, what is pre-decrement, what is post-decrement, what is pre-decrement. You need to understand. So it keep on adding or reducing the values as it proceeds to another what? Number. Is that okay? If at all, then let's proceed. Okay. Now, let's look at the while loop and do while loop. To begin with, let's take this example 1. Imagine you have been given what will this print? Okay, I am from even talking about unary operators where I mentioned about pre-increment, pre-decrement, post-increment, post-decrement. You need to get that. So here, if you got the concept, then this will be just easy for you to understand. So this question is saying that I is equal to 1 and I is just a letter. Okay, so I is equal to 1, then they have used while I less than or equal to 5, say out I as an output. So here we also have what? The post increment. Is that okay? We have a post increment. So as a program, we just have to understand that this one, by looking at this, it's telling us that it will print what? How many lines? 5. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That will be the answer. Now, let's do some justice so that you can understand. Let me just remind you a bit about a while loop, where I say a while loop is a control structure that repeats a block of code as long as a given condition is true. The computer first will check the condition, and if it is true, the loop body will execute. If the condition becomes false, the loop will stop. Is that okay? So, meaning we have a post increment here. So it will start counting from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. When it reaches 6, it will say, the computer will notice that, oh, this statement is false because I have to be less than 5. But when it reaches 6, it means when I becomes 6, then it will ask, is 6 less than or equal to 5? The condition is false. Then it will terminate how many series? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that okay? That is how it works. Now, if at all, let's proceed now. Doing now some justice. We say I, this is where the program starts. If you want, you can put a letter, right? I, this is where the program starts. Then I is equal to 1. So it means 1 is less than 5. It will continue until I is less than 5. Okay? Then it will terminate, or the loop will end after meeting a false what? Statement. Then we have a post increment. Post increment, it means adding by 1. After 1, we'll add 1. After 2, 3, 4, 5. After 6, then it will terminate. So you get to understand this as we proceed. Tips now. You need to know the takeaway that I want you to take is that when you are using while loop, it stops where the condition is false. Then the remaining ones are your answers, or is your answer. How do we do it? Let's do now a final justice. After analyzing how this question have to be tackled, now let's do some justice. So we'll start where the program is starting. We say from 1. We take the condition here, which is here, from parentheses. This is the condition we bring it here. Then we said it will continue. If it's a statement, will continue until it reaches where? False. Okay, you observe. So the condition has started. 1 is less than or equal to 5. Is 1 less than or equal to 5 true? Yes, it is true. Then print 1. After printing 1, the computer or the program have to add what? 1 by this statement of post increment. Add 1. So after adding 1 to 1, what will the output? It will be what? 2. I hope now you can get now the concept now. Let's go. So 2 is 2 less than 5. Yes. Print 2. Print. Then add. Okay. If at all, then let's see. Proceed. We have, when you add 1 there, it will be 3. So is 3 less than or equal to 5? The statement is true. Then print 3. 3 is printed. Then add 1. It will be what? 4. Is 4 less than or equal to 5? This statement is true. Then print 4. After printing 4, then add 1. It will be 5. Is 5 less than or equal to 5? The statement is what? True. Then print 5. Then add 1. It will become what? 6. Is 6 less than or equal to 5? The statement become what? False. Now what happened? When the statement become false, the program stops. Where the condition is what? Is false. Then what will be the output? The output, you say 1, 2, 3 up to 4 and 5. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Because 6 here will not be printed out because it is false. I hope you have understand this concept. Let's proceed to example 2 so that I see if you have understood. Okay. Example 2. We have 3. Is that okay? We have 3. So now, what will be the outcome of this? So we'll start again. Since we know where to start, we just get the condition I, then is less than or equal to 3. Say I is less than or equal to 3. The condition here is true. Then you print 2. You add 1 to the post increment. You add 1 here to be 3. Then we'll say 2 is less than or equal to 3. Okay? The statement is what? True. Then you print 3. Then you say is 3 less than or equal to 3. Okay? Then the statement is what? Is true. Then print 4. Then let's do. Then we say is 4 less than or equal to 3. Because this is the one with the ending number is 3. This is 3, 3, 3, 3. So even here 3. So is 4 less than or equal to 3? The answer is false. Then you print 4. Is that okay? So what will be the output? So the output will be what? Will be 4 here. So meaning this 4 here is under what? False. So this 4 here, it was supposed to be 5. So this 5 won't be what? Printed. Because it is under what? False statement here. Under false statement. Is that okay? So the only output that we are going to have is 4. Now, at this particular time, I would like now to make a difference now here. I've seen that you have been wondering why in example 1 we got a series of numbers starting from 1 to 5. But in example 2, we just got one single answer, which is 4. One thing that you need to do is before you start answering, I always say you need to do some more justice. So let's look at the example that I gave you. So this is the same example that we looked at. So we notice that in example 1, ask the question, what will this print? Then we got this answer. So here we will notice that which condition did we use? We used wow. Even here we used wow loop. Okay. Now after the conditions, this is parentheses. So this is where the condition lies. Okay. Now after these parentheses, we have what we call braces. Okay, these braces, when we are using a while, it is called what? A loop. But have you seen a braces here? No, we did not have. Okay, so now we only have a condition which was inside what? Parentheses. Is that okay? Now, what will determine the program to print a series of answers or to print just a single number is that, have you seen where there is an increment and I? So the value of I for the question number 1 here, okay, and increment, it was inside what? A loop here. So the loop starts from here and ends with up to what? Here. Now let's look at example 2. Example 2, you find that here we did not have a what? A loop or braces. So therefore, our increment was happening under what? Under a condition here. So you notice that the increment was the I was increased inside a condition. Then this also I was outside the condition. In short, when you have a question and you notice that I is inside a loop, then your answer have to be what? In a series like this. When you notice that the question is your question, it did not have a loop of what? Braces, but you have used what? A while loop, but it not bearing what? A braces. Okay, then your answer have to be what? To be just a single digit.